Hello everyone, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a Q&A episode, so let's actually get started, shall we? So, Nicholas, your questions. Is it still debatable that Megaraptor and its relatives are related to the Allosaurids or Tyrannosaur family, or are they their own separate family? Well, Megaraptorids, they're still highly debated in terms of where do they belong in the Theropod family tree. And so, where do they belong? Like, at first, they were part of Allosauroids, and then all of a sudden they got switched over to the Tyrannosaur family. But then there's some paleontologists like they should be their own type of own family group. But yeah, it's still debated, like, because there's still more fossil material left to be discovered about Megaraptorids, and so Megaraptorids are so bizarre. They're very bizarre theropods. Very elongated skulls, not quite like Spinosaurs, but elongated skulls. Teeth are not as big, but they got these massive arms with these big claws. And yeah, it's very contested of where they actually belong. For right now, they're their own family group, but there's paleontologists that are trying to make the case of that they're a cousin of the Tyrannosaurs. And so that could be the case, but there still need to be more evidence to suggest this. So I would say to be determined. I would say to be determined on the Megaraptorids and where do they fall in to the Theropod family tree. Your next one. When I was doing some research on Chilantaisaurus, and what I found out was that its size is 36 to 45 feet long and weighed 6.6 tons, and I was wondering if it is possible for it to grow to 43 feet long. I think it is possible for Chilantaisaurus, but in terms of what we have of Chilantaisaurus, it's very, very limited. Because, like I said, in the special episode, Chilantaisaurus episode, is that there's not enough material. There's not enough material. Because where the fossils are found, it's very scarce. It's probably a very remote area, and so there needs to be more exploration in that rock formation in terms of what kind of fossils could they find there instead of just having 3 dinosaurs that they only found there. So they need to do more research. And considering that this is in China and it's probably in a remote section of China, it's probably very hard for paleontologists in China to actually get out there to actually do some research. But yeah, I would say that it's possible, but we need more fossil material from Chilantaisaurus. We need more fossil material. Then your next question. Have you heard about some new research on Sarcosuchus is not a true crocodile, but a Foldosaurid. It's hard to say this family group name, but yeah, I did look at this. Yeah, it is not a true crocodile because you see, it's a cousin of crocodiles. It's a cousin of crocodiles, but it's not fully closely related to modern day crocs. Dinosuchus is considered to be a little bit more closely related to the modern crocodilians and alligators, but Sarcosuchus does not belong in that type of group right now, because the snout just kind of gives it away of what kind of actually crocodilomorph it is, because it is part of the crocodilomorph family group, but it is not a true crocodile. You are right. It is not a true crocodile. And your last one, have you ever seen or heard of this National Geographic documentary called Super Croc? And that is about the discovery of Sarcosuchus and its living relatives. Would you do a review on it? I could probably do that. They'll probably more likely maybe be in September or October that I'll probably get to do that. Yeah, I could probably rewatch that because the last time I watched it was probably maybe a few years ago, and so it's gonna take a little bit of me trying to remember what was actually said in that documentary about what this thing what Sarcosuchus, the discovery of Sarcosuchus really was, and like Paul Sereno, one of the most well-known paleontologists, is in that documentary, and he knows a lot about reptile evolution. All right, Luke Zilla, your question: who would win, Allosaurus or Chilantaisaurus? So these animals are going to be nearly dead even in terms of size, even though I think Allosaurus is slightly smaller. But if you're talking about like whatever type of Allosaurus you're talking about, if you're talking about Allosaurus fragilis, which is the most famous of the Allosaurids, I'd say that maybe it would actually have a better chance, probably say 55 to 45% chance, or like 45 to, or probably say 55% chance of beating Chilantaisaurus. But if you're talking about, like, say, Allosaurus jamatsoni, I'd probably say Allosaurus jamatsoni probably would stood no chance. Neither would Allosaurus europaeus, or the European Allosaurus. I don't think that would actually have a chance against Chilantaisaurus. But if it was Allosaurus anax, which is the more recent version of Allosaurus, which is the largest Allosaurus, then I'd say that Allosaurus would actually beat Chilantaisaurus. But yeah, that's still to. I would still say that, like, Allosaurus fragilis has a slight edge to actually beat, has a slightly better chance of beating Chilantaisaurus, but like Jamatsoni and Europus, no. But whereas, like, say, Allosaurus anax, yes. But like, it all depends on what type of Allosaurus you're talking about. Is it the most famous version, or is it like a different type? All right, Benjamin, you got some questions. Is Saurophaganax no more? Well, right now, in terms of what Saurophaganax is a chimera, meaning it's either one or it's actually two or more species of animals that were combined to actually make a certain type of skeleton. And so when this discovery was actually made back in the 1950s, Saurophaganax was actually described as a very large theropod dinosaur. And they believe it's closely related to Allosaurus. But even though there were questions about this discovery in terms of were some of these bones not really Allosaurids, or like Allosaurid material? And it wasn't until like say the 2010s to right now is when they looked at the holotype specimen of Saurophaganax and some other types of fossils that were described as Saurophaganax. They looked at these fossils and determined some of these fossils don't actually represent theropods at all. Some of these actually represent a sauropod, and so they actually decided is that like the theropod dinosaur Saurophaganax is chimera, so it means it's invalid now, and so the name Saurophaganax can still be used. The name Saurophaganax could still be used for the sauropod, not for the theropod. And so that's why Allosaurus anax was actually given in that recent paper. And so right now, there's Allosaurus anax, but the Saurophaganax name could actually come back, but mainly as a sauropod. So it could be a new species of sauropod that was probably discovered in the Morrison Formation of Oklahoma. So we'll see what happens on that one. Does Albertosaurus have a bigger brain than Allosaurus fragilis? In ways, yes. Because the Tyrannosaurs, when you look at Tyrannosaur, brain cat, or like the brain cast, or like the brain case basically, and they do CT scans, and they compare them to other theropod dinosaurs. I mean, let's just face it, Troodontids and the Dromaeosaurs, way bigger brains. So are the ornithomimids. And the Therizinosaurs are actually kind of pretty close. But you see, since that Tyrannosaurs are a primitive version, I wouldn't say primitive, I would say they're like a basal forms of Coelurosaurs that yes, the Coelurosaurs were actually the ones that would give rise to birds, whereas Allosaurus is more in towards of they're still related to they're still a closely related to birds in certain ways, like hollow bones and bird-like stance and all that sort of stuff, like all theropods have. The thing is that with Allosaurus, Allosaurus belongs to a different kind of theropod dinosaur group in terms of its own family, and so it really does showcase that like Albertosaurus was probably had a higher ability to actually use its senses. So its brain was able to like distinguish like everything that like in terms of hearing, sight, and smell, and process them a lot faster than what Allosaurus could do. Now, Allosaurus is no slouch. It is no slouch in terms of like intelligence. It's probably was still an intelligent dinosaur. It's just that it was not as intelligent as like say some of the tyrannosaurs, the ornithomimids, the dromaeosaurs, and the troodontids and modern birds. And so, yeah, that's more likely what's going to be the case, is that Albertosaurus was slightly smarter than Allosaurus, but Allosaurus is no slouch. Does Albertosaurus have better eyesight than Allosaurus? More likely, yes, because when you look at Allosaurus' skull of Allosaurus, it is basically a very kind of a narrow skull. But if you're talking about Allosaurus fragilis is kind of like in between, like very thin to wide, so it's like in between that. Allosaurus jamatsoni is a very thin skull, very narrow skull. And I think it's the same thing with the European Allosaurus. It's like, but I think from the European Allosaurus also actually has a little bit of a rounder, like snout. In terms of like say the premaxilla and all that sorts of stuff, but it's kind of almost similar to Allosaurus fragilis. But when you look at Albertosaurus, because Tyrannosaurs, especially the larger Tyrannosaurs, is that they're starting to develop binocular vision, whereas Allosaurus did not have that. Allosaurus did not have binocular vision. It actually had vision that was basically peripheral vision. So it actually had better peripheral vision, so it can actually see things that are like on the sides, like side to side. Whereas Albertosaurus has much better ability to actually see in 3 dimensions. So binocular vision. So binocular vision is basically going to beat out the eyes that are on the side of the head. And so, but Allosaurus still has good vision. It still has good vision. Nonetheless, but Albertosaurus, mainly Tyrannosaurs, had better vision. And your last one, could Dryptosaurus beat Irritator? No. Irritator was larger. Irritator would not hesitate to actually beat Dryptosaurus. Dryptosaurus has agility, but it's all basically about size. That I can give you there. Tyrannotherium on YouTube. Your question. In your opinion, do you think that large theropods would use their foot claws to rip prey apart? I could picture Tyrannosaurus rex flipping over an ankylosaur and just using its foot claws to rip the belly. I would not be surprised if they did do this, but when we look at the foot claws of most theropod dinosaurs, except dromaeosaurs, let's take dromaeosaurs, troodontids out of the equation, is that their foot claws, mainly the meat-eating dinosaurs, they're designed to basically like be able to like pin down like the prey that they're going to eat. They're pinning them down and then basically using their jaws to actually feed on that prey. Now, could they actually use their foot claws to rip open their prey? It's possible, but I would think it would be very difficult for them. But even though the claws of like the foot claws of say Tyrannosaurus rex, for example, they're rounded. So they're not designed to actually make slashing at all. So could they rip apart? Prey, maybe, but it would be very, very messy. It'd be very messy. But I think mostly they just use their jaws to do a lot of the work. But could they do that? Absolutely. Now, could they actually use their foot claws to, like, say, like, be able to rip open the belly of, say, an Ankylosaurus? Definitely possible. Definitely possible. But not an adult. Not an adult Ankylosaurus. Because Tyrannosaurus Rex would not dare go too close to an adult Ankylosaurus. Juvenile, it could. Juvenile, it could. But not an adult. But yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. All right, Alex, your question. Do you think that exposed teeth in non-avian theropod dinosaurs needs to make a return to documentaries about prehistoric life? And do you prefer the way non-avian theropod dinosaurs look now with having lips instead of having the exposed teeth? This is an interesting question. Because, see, teeth exposed in theropod dinosaurs has been used for a long, long time. It was used probably all the way back to probably, like, say, the 70s, probably since the 70s. And it was thought to be that way. And also the problem with a lot of the depictions of dinosaurs at that point in time, from the 70s all the way over towards the mid 2010s, was basically is that they were shrink wrapped. A lot of dinosaurs were shrink wrapped, and so there was not much body fat, not much muscle. So it was basically like just skin, a little bit of muscle, and bone. That was pretty much it. They did not make the muscles bigger or anything like that, because since what we know about dinosaurs today is completely different from what it was back then. In terms of, like, the teeth exposed, like, it was used for a long, long time. But there's also, like, something to be said about, like did these theropod dinosaurs really have lips? Because that's a hotly debated topic. Very hotly debated topic in paleontology right now. Did theropod dinosaurs have lips? And since that, what they're suggesting is that since that these animals still had enamel still had enamel present in the fossils of their teeth. And so that means is that the mouth had, like, a certain type of covering for these teeth. And so, because if these were actually exposed to the elements of the outside world, like, the enamel would have just started eroding away. The teeth would have gotten dry. It would have been very painful for the animal, and also they probably would not be able to hunt very efficiently or capture prey very efficiently. And so the thought process is that maybe these animals did have lips, modern lizards and Komodo, let's say, like monitor lizards. Because crocodilians mostly are in water, and the water keeps that enamel not being weathered away. And since that crocodiles don't have lips, but since that birds don't have teeth right now in today's world, in modern day birds, they don't have teeth, they just have beaks. And so we have to look at modern crocodilians to say, like, well, did dinosaurs have this? Theropod dinosaurs, did they have this? But crocodiles are a different breed. And so when we look at monitor lizards, like, say, Komodo dragons, for example, they actually have lips all along their jaws, because if there was a tooth exposed, that tooth probably would have eroded away, and it would have been very painful for that animal. Now, they can replace teeth. It's just that how these animals are depicting, how we're depicting dinosaurs in modern day documentaries is that they probably did have lips. Now, the lip theory is being pushed up a lot more in the paleontology documentary series. And so the teeth exposed part is starting to go away. Now, do I think that the exposed teeth could make a comeback? Maybe, but even though that there's paleontologists that are going to say that's dated, we don't need to do that anymore. We need to go towards, like, making them look like modern day, make them look like actual animals that actually did have these types of structures, like which these lips. But with how these animals are depicted now, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. Like, is it still a hotly debated topic? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's some paleo art that would allow the theropod that still depict theropod dinosaurs with their teeth exposed. But then there's other paleo artists that actually have the teeth covered with lips. And so that's why we're seeing in like the clips of Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 reboot is that the Tyrannosaurus Rex has got lips and the teeth are just hidden. But that's possible. That's still a possibility. It did have lips. It's still hotly debated, but good question, Alex. Like it. That's all the questions I got for you today. So next week will be a special episode. I'll let you guys know what kind of prehistoric I'm going to talk about. A lot of you guys are sending me a bunch of requests, so make sure, and so that's great. But I want to let you guys know, don't send me too many requests because otherwise it's going to be hard for me to keep up to actually determine which like prehistoric animals are going to be talked about in a special episode. But you can still send me your request. It's just that limit to basically one at a time. Do it one at a time because otherwise it's not gonna. Because otherwise it's gonna look like I got so much on my plate. And so make sure you do. You can still send requests. Just don't do it too much. But yeah. So I'll let you guys know what kind of prehistoric animal I'm going to talk about. It's more likely going to be a dinosaur. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. And but you can still send me questions about dinosaurs and other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you put your questions in the comment section. Please put them in the comment section. Don't put them on Messenger. Messages are private conversations, so please put your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. And also for YouTubers out there, like the video, subscribe to the channel according to my analytics. So a lot of you guys are checking out my channel and not subscribed yet. So please feel free to hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button because that's how the YouTube algorithm works. The more likes the video gets, the more likely the video gets spread out to people that are interested in dinosaurs, prehistoric life, paleontology, and geology in general. So please feel free to do so. And also feel free to share the video, share the channel to anybody that is interested in dinosaurs, prehistoric life, paleontology, and geology in general. So please feel free to do so. And also hit that notification bell so that way you can get weekly notifications of every video that comes out weekly. And also check out the posts and you can interact on the polls because I post polls every 3 days, and I will get around to doing some trivia questions, and so they'll probably more likely happen like maybe in the next couple of weeks. I was gonna do it last week, but other things got caught up. But I will get to trivia questions at some point. And also hit that notification bell and also you YouTubers out there, leave your questions in the comment section because I do read them all. All of you guys are sending me questions via email, Facebook, and YouTube. You guys are awesome. Give me your questions for these Q&A episodes. It means a lot. And also make sure you keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Instagram at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there. You can also follow me on Threads. Same thing at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there as well. Also, take care of people around you and also for younger people out there to make solutions to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. So best motivation you can have your good education for everyone. Have good educations with a good education. Get a good job in the future. That's it for now, and I'll see you guys next time.